And we finish off today's show in the beautiful city of Arlington, Texas, for the Arlington Cowboys. With the backwards, upside-down Dallas hat, the Dallas Cowboys. Last year's record 12-5, same coach, Mike McCarthy, same offense. Mr. McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer is the OC, but McCarthy will call the plays. Projected starting offense, Diggity Dak, quarterback 9, Cooper Rush, still the backup. Back in a Cowboy uniform, Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, RB38, Rico Dowdle, RB43, and hell, Deuce Vaughn could see starting minutes at starting reps at this point with who his competition is in front of him, RB80. The wide receiver 1 and the former wide receiver 1 and the current wide receiver 1, CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 57. Jalen Tolbert, 88. Jalen Brooks, 110. Kevontae Turpin, listed on here solely for Scott Fishbowl. He's the wide receiver 5. Jake Ferguson is the tight end 1, and he is being drafted at tight end 9. We will start with the wide receiver 1, who is once again being drafted as the wide receiver 1. And I have to imagine Fizzle is not going to say anything bad about him and is projecting him to be, once again, the wide receiver 1. Take it away.
So I'm going to be honest, man. When you already number 1, it's hard to top that. So if he just decides to be our wide receiver 1.2, I'm not going to be mad at him. I felt like I spoke this up last year, man. We had a lot of debates and a lot of my leagues with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and I was taking CeeDee Lamb over both of those guys in every draft, every startup I had. And it wasn't just because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I also just looked at the argument the same way we just spoke on a lot of other guys. What does CeeDee have around him? And what does Dak Prescott do? Dak Prescott throws the ball. So when we got rid of Zeke, that let me know this Tony Pollard stuff that people thought was going to happen. I was never a Tony Pollard fan.
We didn't think that on this show. We were not on that train.
You get the pound right here.
Not even a little bit.
Because it was like Kellen Moore wanted Tony Pollard to look good. But once Kellen Moore was leaving, bro, it wasn't going to happen. I knew that was coming. So Dak Prescott, again, playing for 1 year. He's playing for a new deal. CeeDee Lamb wants a deal, which he's going to have by a season come. But I believe Dak is going to go out there, man, and throw that ball beyond like the air that's left in the ball. Like he might, deflate gate might be back, man, as much as he's going to throw that ball this year. So CeeDee Lamb is going to lead this league in targets. He's going to lead our team in receptions and touchdowns and receiving yards. And if Tyreek Hill decides he want to reach 2,000 yards again, cool. But CeeDee Lamb won't be no lower than receiver 2 or 3 in receiving yards. So all the categories stacked up. If you look at my guy, man, he's quiet, he's chill, he's low key, he ain't rowdy. So I think that's why people overlook him. Last year with the Jefferson and Chase, I get it, man. But just notice the receiver 1 is in Dallas, man. So hey, if you want a little bit of Lamb, you want a gyro, come holler at us, man. If not, you want to stay in second place, don't come get my guy, But CeeDee is the GOAT, man. That's all I got to say about my guy, man. I had to put him on here. I don't think nobody's going to argue with receiver 1, but if they do, they don't like to eat good. So Lamb for dinner, man. That's how we going to cook it up.
Your other options would be, again, your top 5 in order goes CeeDee, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I love those guys.
Love them. None of them even touch CeeDee Lamb.
No.
Tyreek Hill, timing route king. Jamar Chase, love him. We'll see what his quarterback situation is. Justin Jefferson, J.J. McCarthy. There's 2 words for you. J.J. McCarthy. There's a world where I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is second behind CeeDee Lamb. There's a full world where that happens.
It can. I feel like if you look at CeeDee, this was the disconnect, right? Especially with me and Mike. Me and Mike had this argument, and he talked about A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown, remember the first 7 weeks, he was getting like 9, 10, 11, 12 targets. CeeDee was averaging like 7 targets a game. And like I told Mike, I said, bro, AJ is leading because he's getting the targets. CeeDee is only getting 6 or 7 a game. And I don't know what the disconnect was with the offense, But I heard that he went to Mike McCarthy and said, "Hey, I need the ball." And after I think week 4 or 5, he went up every week. It was double digits, man. And I knew all he needs is the targets. You can't lead the league in receiving yards if you don't have the targets, unless will let
super high efficiency.
Yeah, I mean Tank
Will
Dale,
Fuller.
unless you Tank Dale without the injury, you know what I'm saying? So I just believe as long as the targets are there, CeeDee Lamb is receiver 1 because he has Brandon Cooks and Jalen Tolbert around him, and it's no threat to his job. I mean, they're going to draw him up in different plays. He doesn't play one position. He doesn't have a Devonta Smith beside him. He doesn't have a T. Higgins beside him. He don't have a Jordan Addison beside him. I love me some Brandon Cooks. I like to shoot arrows and all that good stuff, but CeeDee Lamb, man, is the receiver 1 for right now and hopefully beyond. So that's my guy, man.
I was going to say, I have him as the leading target earner amongst wide receivers in my projections, and I have him 18 over number 2. I actually have A.J. Brown taking a big step in targets this year with
plays,
100%.
So.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. I will say my only cause for pause with CeeDee is how long he decides to hold out.
That was my biggest fear, bro. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's my biggest fear.
The holdout scares me. The holdout scares me.
Yeah,
injuries.
It feels like everybody that starts the season coming back from a holdout, things start a little slow, and they don't always gain that full speed back
every time.
And I think that could be what opens up room for potentially somebody else coming in and stealing that wide receiver 1 overall spot, but. I feel like every year, I don't think we've had a repeat wide receiver 1 since Antonio Brown, right?
And I'm talking trash, bro. I don't think he's gonna finish number 1. I'll be honest with you. I think a St. Brown, like Joe said, I think a St. Brown is due for a receiver 1 and dethrone CeeDee. I still think to me he's the receiver 1, but he might not finish receiver 1 though. I'd say that.
I can get on board with that. I have Amon-Ra as my wide receiver 2 in my ranking, so I think if there's anybody that takes him, he would be the guy that I would pick.
Before the bye week, CeeDee Lamb had 1 touchdown in 2 games over 100 yards, one of those with double-digit receptions. After the bye week, he only had 1 week where he didn't score a touchdown. In that week, he was 11 for 191 yards. He had 6 games of double-digit receptions, all of which, except 1, he had over 100 yards. And the weeks that he didn't have triple-digit yards, he had at least 1 touchdown in all of those games, and at least 5 receptions.
Yeah,
really hard to not put him at 1.
And that's the thing too, is like Dak's out here playing for a contract, right? He's gonna want to force feed CeeDee.
Bro,
like, yo, let's get this bag together, homie.
That
like,
was my argument. That was my argument over taking him over Jefferson and Chase and those startups, bro. I took CeeDee in like 3 leagues, and it wasn't because I was just clearly a Dallas fan. I felt like if I could have took Jefferson, I could have maybe traded him for CeeDee plus, because a lot of people were down on CeeDee. I got CeeDee at the 201 in a couple of leagues. Like, people just weren't feeling it, so. Can't get him now, though.
My argument last year for not taking Jefferson or Jamar Chase was Christian McCaffrey was on the board at the 101. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
that was
He's
running back
different.
Lover.
He doesn't count, bro. He doesn't count.
He doesn't count, literally. All right. The one tight end that is okay to talk about, because I do think he has insane value where he currently is Jake Ferguson. We talk about, David Njoku is definitely, we would probably say, the clear 2 in that offense. Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, don't scare us. Jake Ferguson has played with this same quarterback and is legitimately the second option in this offense. And in all reality, the targets around him, 1, didn't get better. They actually got worse when you think about it. And they have no running game to speak of to even use out of that backfield. So, Josh, Jake Ferguson at tight end 9 feels dirty.
Yeah, as I mentioned with Dallas Goedert, that tight end 7 to 12 range is kind of, it's usually been that sort of like, dead zone of tight ends. Tight end 7 to 12. George Kittle, Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson, Brock Bowers, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert. Of those 6 tight ends that I just named, how many do you realistically think could top 100 targets?
2, Ingram and Ferguson.
Yep. And those would be the only 2 guys that I'm actually willing to draft in this range for that exact reason. I want to chase targets. If I'm not getting those high upside, high tight end value guys in that top 6, I want the volume. And that's what Jake Ferguson brings to the table. CeeDee Lamb is unquestionably the target hog in this offense. Brandon Cooks is a shell of himself. He still has that deep speed. Defenses have to trust that. So if they're covering him deep, who's working underneath? It's CeeDee Lamb and it's Jake Ferguson. Those are the 2 guys in this offense that you want. Dak Prescott will pepper Jake Ferguson with targets. Dalton Schultz made a career out of living underneath in this offense and did pretty damn well for himself, moving on to Houston, getting a $13 million a year contract this offseason. Jake Ferguson is literally built the exact same way. He's not overly athletic. He works underneath, averages 10 plus yards per reception. Get him the volume. He's going to do just fine. This is screaming value in fantasy drafts. So if you missed on some of these earlier guys, target Jake Ferguson in that 7th, 8th round range, because that's where he should be going when redraft really starts kicking off.
From week 8 on, there was 1 week where he had less than 5 targets, and he had 4 straight weeks with 8 targets. All of those, by the way, the final 2 games of your regular season, yep, and the first 2 games of your playoffs.
Yep.
So is he going to blow you away? No, not even a little bit. This is an average white man playing football. Let's get that out of the way. This is an average white dude who happens to be tall and can catch a football. I don't know what more special about the man is. David Njoku's a freak of nature. This is an insurance agent with NFL athleticism.
Jake from State Farm, maybe?
Jake from State Farm. Literally. But what he's going to do is consistently get you anywhere between 10 to 15 points a week. And what more could you ask for out of your tight end? And realistically, what more could you ask for?
Especially when you drafting them where you drafted them at.
Yes, like that's you're telling me I can get a consistent, like, okay, average 9 points a game. Awesome. Great. That's 9 points I didn't have.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, he was averaging 10.4 fantasy points per game just last year. I mean, 71, 761. Like, it's not anything special, but again, like, he's the only option in that offense. Like,
he's the underneath
CeeDee
guy.
Lamb, like, that's it. You know, give me all that.
And you have to imagine his touchdowns probably go up from 5. So he only had 5 last year. And 3 of them came in a 3-week span in the middle of the season, so it wasn't even that big. He only had 1 touchdown after week 11. You have to imagine that's going to go up. So that's only going to help his draft value. I mean, even if it goes up, 3 touchdowns to 8, and he has roughly the same season he had, if not a little better, that's insane value at tight end 9. And before we dive into last guy, Dak Prescott, Hyattville does bring up a question, and I'm sure this is for Fizzle. What would it cost to trade CeeDee Lamb in best ball?
It's only because I'm trying to get CeeDee from him, and he's trying to figure out a good price. So this is really what this is, bro.
Would it be the buy-in for the league plus steak dinner?
Well, see, this is the problem, right? It depends on your construction, and he already knows in this league, I don't want to win this year, so there's no point in me buying a guy that I don't want to win with. So, what's the price in our league? You'll find out later. But the price for CeeDee, it's got to be minimum 2 first, right? We're gonna figure out maybe a receiver to throw in. I'm not sure.
I think someone like a Pickens in 2 first. I assume it's probably super flex.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's a fair price. For CeeDee.
Yeah. Because I don't want to specifically go from my league, so I'm just thinking definitely 2 first and a receiver. But It depends on your if you think you want to build and stack, because some people don't care about picks. Some people say, look, man, I need some depth. I need win now pieces. If I'm getting rid of CeeDee, I need a guaranteed player or 3 players, especially in best ball. And that's my thing with the overprice of paying for CeeDee. I need to be able to win now, because if I'm not winning now, me giving you 3 or 4 assets to get one guy is really going to set me back even more. So, I can't give you a price, brother, because you're trying to cheat me right now. So I'm not gonna give you a price, man.
Well, I like what Koopa says. I like what Koopa says here with, CeeDee's got to be worth at least 3 firsts in lineup. And I think that's fair. I mean, I made 2 trades to get CeeDee Lamb in Dynasty last year. One of them was a half PPR super flex. I gave up Drake London and what turned out to be a mid-round first this year. That to me felt like a steal. Then after CeeDee Lamb had already blew up around like week 13 or like 12, 13, 14, I traded Nico, Jalen Waddle, and 2 firsts for just CeeDee Lamb. It won me a title though, so it was worth it.
Was that a lineup or best ball?
I don't play in any best ball.
Okay, because like Cooper said, it's slightly less in best ball if you add the value. Which I said, best ball, man, it's so tricky because if I trade for CeeDee Lamb and he gets hurt, but you got 4 values out of me, bro. You got so much money left over. It's just like a killer. So best ball is slightly harder, man, with them trades because you feel like you're giving away so much for one player. It's tough, man. It's really tough to figure that out sometimes. But when you know somebody like CeeDee Lamb, you're going to try to get the most out of it. So I'm not knocking them, man. Do what you got to know your lead. That's the only thing I can say. Know your lead.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
And we'll end in Dallas with the quarterback. Aforementioned Dak Prescott saying people need to stop fading him. He's the quarterback 9. And we'll end this with, everyone's favorite. Would you rather? Because quarterback 9 does feel low for a guy like Dak Prescott, considering he is pretty consistent year over year with who he is. And
he was QB3 last year.
I think it's just a helmet, bro. People just don't like Dallas. If he was putting those numbers up for another team, they would like him. I think it's just a helmet.
I disagree because people can't stand Kirk Cousins in fantasy, and Homeboy still produces year in and year out.
Well, Kirk Cousins doesn't.
I think they're taking
run.
Neither does Dak,
Kirk
really.
Kirk never gets drafted where he's valued either, though. That's what I'm saying. Like they just don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. In the offseason, we stupidly overrate rushing value, and it very rarely actually comes to fruition. That's the problem.
But I know in recent years he hasn't been big on rushing. When he started his career, he was six touchdowns
right after
every
that
year.
Ankle injury, he's been a different player.
He's been a much different player. But I think it's that. But there's it feels like the last 3 years, or minus the injury year, it feels like he starts off slow. He starts off just kind of meh, like it's not anything to write home about. Then there's that like 5-week stretch in the middle of the season where every talk show on planet Earth is saying he's the MVP. And then like week 14 hits.
He has a dud.
And he has a dud.
It's the Dallas curse, bro. It's December, man. I don't know what it is, bro.
It hits week 14.
You got like even when Romo was there, bro, it was like we just like really bad, man.
It hits week 14 and something just he loses something and the rest of the season's a wash. They lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Yep.
That feels like it's the same story every year with Dak. So I think that's why people fade him, is because those 5 weeks you're gonna win every fucking week because you throw him for 350 and 3 touchdowns. You're gonna win every single week. Yep. But when you need him most, right when your fantasy playoffs start, he has shown consistently he doesn't provide for you. So I think that's where the undervalue comes. But even where he's being undervalued, it does feel like there's a couple names around here where you're like, are we really going to put him in the same conversation as Dak Prescott? I'll start at quarterback 7. And again, these rounds are a little off. Quarterbacks go in different rounds, but
you should go higher than that, honestly, Joe.
Well, Anthony Richardson is unfair at quarterback 5. It's Dak Prescott over Anthony Richardson. That one's
Dak all day.
I don't know, bro. I'm going A-Rich, brother. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
At 5, it's
Dynasty, yes, not in redraft.
Man, A-Rich could be QB1 this year, bro. I'll be honest with you.
Not even close.
Well, I'd say this. I got Lamar's QB1, so I'm a Lamar Jackson fiend, man. That's I'm a fan. I'm a stan Lamar, man. So But
see, that to me though is more realistic. Lamar's actually been QB1 in fantasy.
I got you. I'm with you. I think people sleeping on A-Rich though, man. Maybe it's just the dynasty in me. Maybe it's the dynasty in me, bro.
I think it is the dynasty in you.
Maybe it's the dynasty in me, man. But A-Rich, man, woo.
He just got to stay healthy. That's what we need to see. I'll go up since we're there because people may think he has a sophomore slump. C.J. Stroud or Dak Prescott? Fizzle.
That's tough. I feel like C.J. has way better weapons. So, man, I say this. I trust Dak. What you just said with the consistency level, I would take CJ over Dak because of the consistency. I feel like the weapons around CJ won't make him look bad. Like he could just throw it to anybody and he's going to look like he had a good game. So I would take CJ only because of the weapons around him. There's no way to make CJ look bad this year when he throws the ball to anybody. So I take CJ.
Josh.
There's only 5 quarterbacks I would take above Dak Prescott, and C.J. Stroud isn't one of them.
Okay. On the clock, I wouldn't take a quarterback this high, but for the game, I would take C.J. Stroud. Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott? Fizzle.
Man, you're making me look bad as a Cowboys fan, bro. Bro, and I'm not even the highest on Kyler Murray, man, but I think this year, Kyler is going to show people something different, man. I know we talked earlier about the Russian quarterback thing, how it never really works out, but I think Kyler owed people a smack in the mouth. So I would take Kyler, but it's to the point where we on like chin hair level right now. So I'm going to go Kyler right now because of the Russian aspect. That's the only reason.
I mean, he could run for 800, 900 yards, realistically.
For sure.
So, Josh.
Dak, and it's not close.
All right, you don't like Kyler Murray.
That's Josh,
no, it's not that I don't like Kyler Murray. I think the Cardinals' offense is a year away, and I think a lot of the hype, guys like A-Rich and Kyler, I think we're a year early on them.
Okay,
that's what I think.
Joey Burr or Dak Prescott? Fizzle.
Oh no, I'm taking Dak over Joe, man. I don't like. I'm not the biggest Joe Burrow fan at all. Injury on top of injury. No consistency, really. I'm gonna go with Dak on that one.
Josh.
Dak.
Real football, it's Joe Burrow, but in fantasy football, it's not even close. It's Dak Prescott in this conversation. Dak or Jordan Love? Fizzle.
Hey, I'm taking Dak, man. I even traded Jordan Love for Dak in some leagues, so I mean, other things were included, but I'm taking Dak, man. Dak over Jordan Love for sure.
Josh.
Remember when I said there's 5 quarterbacks I would take over Dak? Jordan Love is one of them.
Oh, okay. I mean, they were neck and neck last year. Like
they were. Yeah. I like where that Green Bay offense is heading, and I think Jordan Love's ability to spread the football around is actually going to provide a lot more outlets for Jordan Love. The biggest reason why I don't have CJ Stroud there yet, we saw it last year with Jordan Love. We haven't yet seen it with CJ Stroud. So I'm going to still trust Dak over CJ, but give me Jordan Love over Dak.
They are literally going one pick apart in best ball drafts. One is the first pick of the 9th round, one's the second, and I will end it with 2 guys people love to hate. Dak Prescott or Brock Purdy? Fizzle.
I'm going Dak, man. Don't ask me about Purdy because it's going to get dirty. So we're going to go Dak Prescott. Lead that Purdy guy as Mr. Irrelevant, man. Shout out to him, but Dak Prescott, baby.
Josh, I already know your answer.
Dak, and it's not close.
Yeah, it's
the amount of times I've had to say Dak as an Eagles fan is not.
Hey, listen, Josh, I like you, man. You my guy, man. You my guy, man.
I did it for you. Phil,
hey, I can call a spade a spade. You know,
I ain't mad at you.
I do think it is closer than people may give it credit for, but Dak Prescott, I think it is closer.
The efficiency is bound to come down for Brock Purdy. What goes up comes down. So I'm not there yet.
Maybe we'll see. We're gonna find out this year. We'll see. I'm not a Brock Purdy stan. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater, but I'm not a Dak Prescott stan or hater. I like them both. I took Dak his rookie year because I was like, Tony Romo's gonna get hurt and Dak Prescott's gonna be the starter. Boom, called that shit.
Well, thanks for you. Thanks a lot, brother. You the reason.
Hey, I'm the reason why we
My
have the
quarterback.
shittiest broadcast booth of all professional sports with Jim Nance and Tony Romo. I'm the reason. And I apologize for that, people. I apologize for that.